Mom is getting remarried today. Her choice. I don't like the guy she is getting married to. Clarence is a computer guru who works remote. He's a nice guy, always tries to be friendly, and he had played with a few stocks and has gotten some money saved up. But I don't like him. He insists he is my dad. Mom insists he is my dad. They both insist I call him Dad. I already have a dad. I refused. What am I supposed to do? Pretend I like him for Mom's sake? What choice do I have? Mom has already moved in with him, and his 23-year-old son. I refuse to admit that my stepbrother exists. I'm Ridley Glint, age 19, and I'm studying computer science. I work at a computer store, Bixby's Electronics, as a backroom tech fixing computers. I live in the frat house, second floor, and my roommate is a nice guy named William. He is an Uber driver and is always on the road. I'm a freshman, joined the frat back in September during the sexy frat car wash. I was 18 then, and part of Jason's winning team that automatically got accepted. January had just ended. Hooray for Valentine's Day, except I don't have time to get romantic with anybody. Money is tight. Mom said I could move in with her and Clarence. My answer was a hard no. I took a deep breath, hoping to look calm. No matter what I say, Mom is going through with this disaster. I can't believe it. Mom and my real dad got divorced shortly after I graduated high school. There wasn't an affair or money issues. They decided they didn't want to spend the rest of their lives together. The only reason they had been together as long as they had was to get me graduated. My older sister, Alice, she'd be a senior if she had stayed in college, thinks the new marriage is wonderful. Of course she would. She has a husband and a 3-year-old toddler and a 2-year-old toddler, and they live in a little house down in Henderson where she grows strawberries. Am I the only person who thinks this wedding is super awkward and super weird and the social mistake of the millennium? Mom thinks her new marriage is wonderful. After all, she's marrying Clarence, the remote tech guru. Everybody thinks this wedding is wonderful, except me. I hate today. I hate my new stepfather. I hate how my life is about to change. But what can I do? Whether I like it or not, and I don't, today I have to pretend to smile and act like I'm enjoying myself. What I really hate is my new stepbrother, Glaive. Who names their kid Glaive? Clarence and his ex were D&D role players back in the day, not PlayStation gamers, but the old school kind, with the weird dice and calculators and diagrams and maps and detailed character sheets, and painted miniatures. Clarence does have a collection of nicely painted miniatures, and he still paints them, and even sells them. He's good at that. Let me tell you why I hate Glaive. He still lives with Clarence, so if I move back home, I also move in with Glaive. I've only met him 3 times, 4 including today. He's 3 inches taller than me, 3.5 years older than me, has the perfect chestnut hair that never looks bad, soft and warm brown eyes that are positively gorgeous, which Mom says are just like Clarence's. And everybody likes Glaive. And worse yet, he is even a model. Started back in high school. He has at least 3 modeling jobs lined up. He has a perfect face with perfect cheekbones and a narrow chin, and he can talk to anybody. And he gets invited to all the frat parties, and he's not even part of a frat. Don't get me started on his clothes. He can wear anything from anywhere and make it look good. And he's so careful with his money that he doesn't have to work while going to school and doesn't even have any student loans. Hell, he has all that money from modeling saved up. Handsome, and he's got money and good grades, and he's popular, and he's got perfect skin and a perfect tan. And he has a collection of wrestling trophies from back in high school. He has a nighttime skincare routine and morning skincare routine, and daily workout routine, and a set of dumbbells, and his own weight bench. His face is plastered in 5 commercials, and get this, he has even made a movie. It was a minor part where he stood around a pool shirtless, and looking desirable, and even said a couple of lines. But he made $500,000 for it. He's in negotiation for another movie. The stuck-up snob even has an agent, his dad. Glaive is so far out of my league that I can't ever hope to compete. I'm shorter, and my hair is stiff and straight and never looks good, and I have to wear contacts because I'm nearsighted, and I wear braces because when Mom and Dad got divorced, their insurance went weird and my teeth were something that got put on hold. Glaive is about to become Mom's perfect son. He even calls Mom, Mom, and is nice to her. Doesn't he understand that Mom is my mom, not his? He's taking over my place in the family. How dare he? There he is, standing on the podium, next to Clarence. They both wore perfect, immaculate black tuxedos and black shiny shoes that were polished to mere perfection, and black bow ties. Glaive was his dad's best man and held a small pillow with the rings on it. And he was so incredibly freaking gorgeous, with his flawless skin and toned body barely hidden under the tuxedo, and don't get me started on his smile. His teeth were so white I bet they glowed in the dark. Why couldn't I have been him? Because of stress from work and college and dealing with Mom and Clarence, I've had a bad breakout of zits across my forehead. Let's play connect the dots. Stress does that to me. I've tried to disguise them with acne cream, but my skin looks as fake as my smile. It was my job to walk Mom down the aisle. She wore a custom cream business suit and a below-the-knee skirt with pink practical pumps, and a pink circular hat with a small face veil, and a stately pearl necklace that Clarence had given her just for today. Her bridal bouquet was made with pale pink roses, the same color as her shoes, and the floral decorations in the reception hall were also pale pink, and the boutonnieres all the guys wore were also pale pink. She was smiling and radiant, and I'd never seen her so happy. "Try to be nice to Clarence and Glaive today," Mom whispered, taking a long sip from her champagne glass before setting it on the table. "They are your new dad and brother, and why did you have to dye your hair pink?" "You know how Ridley is," my sister Alice said. "It's his weird little way of fitting in." "Mom," I said, "I'm just trying to help celebrate the happy occasion, and no, Clarence and Glaive aren't my father and brother," I whispered back. My boutonniere and hair and cummerbund were the same shade of pale pink as what she wore. I think I look good in pink. That's about the only thing I liked about the wedding. Alice leaned in close and whispered, "Suck it up for Mom's sake, or I swear I will come over to your dorm room and pour the stinkiest perfume I can find all over your pillow." I nodded, stood a little taller, sucked my cheeks in, and we both suppressed a giggle. "Good," she whispered. I think Alice is the only sane person in our family, because she had a way to make me smile. I couldn't stop being annoyed, though, but I sucked it in for her sake and pretended to be happy. I only had to endure for a few hours, and then I'd grab a 6-pack of Coca-Cola and head to the frat house. Why was I the only one who saw what a mistake this was? The music started. Mom didn't want a wedding march because this was her second wedding, so they played some new age piece with chimes and tinkling bells. I pasted on the fakest of fakety-fake smiles, let Mom loop her arm in mine, and we slowly, stately, walked to the podium. My sister's older daughter threw pink flower petals in front of us. Alice walked a few steps behind us, both to encourage her daughter and to make sure I didn't do anything dumb. Mom started to cry. Clarence started to cry. Somebody in the audience whispered, "It's so beautiful." God, get me out of here. Why does everybody think this is so happy? Glaive smiled and quietly whispered something to his dad and handed his dad a tissue. I took a deep breath. It's confirmed. I was the only person in the room who saw this as the mistake it was. As we got to the podium, me and my niece walked to the side. She had run out of flower petals and looked a little disappointed. I gave her a lifesaver. Green are her favorites, and told her, "Good job, bugaboo." She gave me a tiny grin, and I picked her up. I didn't pay attention when the minister said his pretty words, or when Glaive presented the rings to my mom and his dad, or when the minister pronounced, "You may kiss the bride." I did pay attention when Mom and Clarence kissed. I did step back when Alice's other daughter threw more pink flower petals on the walkway, so the happy couple could exit in style. Still, this wedding was Mom's choice. This was her happy day. I wouldn't ruin it. I'd pretend to be happy. I'd pretend to stay calm. I'd pretend to smile politely. While people were rushing about, congratulating my mom and Glaive's dad, I snuck out a side exit to be alone. I wanted to avoid my new step-sibling and stepdad and Mom. Then I saw something really weird. My stepbrother, who I refused to call a brother, said something nice to Mom. Mom and him were actually being polite to each other, and stepdad actually complimented Alice and her daughters. Get me out of here. The venue had a formal rose garden with a small stream and bridge used for photo shoots. Everybody was still inside, offering congratulations. I seemed to be the only person outside. An old tree was hanging over a bench just a few feet away from the bridge, and it offered a place to hide. I sat there in the cold air, found some depressing music on my phone to listen to, and wondered if my life could get even worse. Yep, it did. Glaive stepped outside, took a quick look about, and saw me. He offered an annoyingly beautiful smile and sat on the bench next to me. "Everybody's having a good time," he said. I shrugged and neutrally mumbled something like, "Go join them then." Glaive nodded. Somebody woke up on the wrong side of the alley. "And somebody is glued to their own press release," I said. "At least I don't have hair that looks like some washed-out lipstick color," he said. "Does Daddy pay for all your skincare products?" I said. Was it my imagination, or did Glaive's eyes flicker to my forehead before he said, "Did Mommy tie your tie for you?" I casually flipped him off and said, "No, I used a hot glue gun." "Do you have to work at being so annoying, or is it one of your many talents?" Glaive said. "It's easy when I'm around you," I said, letting the sarcasm drip from my voice. Our phones both beeped at the same time. My sister texted us, calling us for pictures, and thankfully interrupting me and my perfect model/actor/completely anger-inducing/brand-new stepbro that I refused to accept as a stepbro. Glaive and I joined the bridal party. Before the picture started, Mom handed her half-full champagne glass to someone. The first few pictures were of the bride and groom. Some were of all of us. Several were of both families. A few were of the bride and her children. That's me and Alice. And then a few of Clarence and Glaive. Then a couple of Glaive, me, and Alice. The happy stepchildren. My smile was polite, but filled with saccharine. My sister Alice pulled me aside and whispered, "Remember to play nice, for your pillow's sake." "This is me being nice," I whispered back. I had had it with my family. While the photographer took his million pictures, I snuck out and walked around the block for an hour and only returned for the reception. How to describe the reception? White and pale pink everything with forest green accents, even the 4-tiered wedding cake. Mom walked over to me, carrying a nearly empty fluted wine glass, and quietly whispered, Can't you pretend to be happy for us?" "This is me being happy," I replied, giving her a smile that was reminiscent of a killer clown carrying floating balloons. "If you're going to ruin our special day, just go home," Mom said. At the reception, Mom and Stepdad danced. Alice and her husband danced. Alice and Stepdad danced. Alice and Glaive danced. And then Glaive danced with whoever asked. Of course they took pictures of the beautiful model/actor/all-star wrestler having a good time. I accepted a champagne glass, didn't drink, I'm underage, and stood in the background. The reception hall had decorative mirrors scattered about. I'm not vain, but I happened to glance into one. The zit cream had faded away, letting my acne-covered, oily forehead shine in full glory. My pink hair made the whole mess stand out. I bet they couldn't even Photoshop my zits out without removing my entire head. Mom's wedding pictures would have a headless guy standing around. What was I doing here? Mom and her new family would be much happier once I was gone. Mom and Stepdad wouldn't even know I was missing because they were going straight to the airport right after this. Time to disappear. I went back into the men's changing room and changed into my khaki pants and a casual black button-down shirt, then packed the rental tuxedo into the garment bag. I walked out at the worst time because somebody yelled, "Girls, line up for the sweetheart tradition." All the unmarried girls were lined up between me and the white and pink wedding cake for the catching of the bouquet ritual. The exit was on the other side of the wedding cake. In order to get to the exit, I had to walk through the throng of unmarried, giggling, drunk women. Somebody said, "Ladies, you only get one chance to get the sweetheart tradition right. Everybody ready for love?" As one, they all yelled, "We are." With no other choice, I paused to watch. The photographer was set up to catch the moment. All the guests had their phones out and were recording. Glaive stood near the cake, smiling at the girls. Mom, obviously a little tipsy, turned her back to the girls, holding the white and pink bouquet in one hand, and counted 3, 2, 1. She drunkenly tossed her bridal bouquet high into the air as hard as she could, over her shoulder. It hit the ceiling, bounced off the ceiling, flew over the heads of the girls. 2 of the girls tried to catch it. They missed, deflecting it in the direction of the cake. That was a disaster. I had to feel sorry for the cake. This could become a very bad memory. At the last second, our noble hero, Glaive, jumped, swatting the bouquet away from the cake. Yay, the cake was saved. I was not. The bridal bouquet came to me, hit my chest, and I caught it. I stared at the stupid thing, thinking, this isn't happening. Would this day ever end? The photographer plus every cell phone in the venue recorded that moment in all its immortal, embarrassing glory. And they managed to record my zit-covered forehead in the process. "Look who's getting married next," somebody yelled. "Isn't Ridley gay?" somebody else said. "Who's the lucky guy?" somebody else said. "Ridley, how come you're not wearing your tuxedo?" Alice yelled. One girl squealed and yelled, "Remember what's supposed to happen to the person who catches the bouquet?" "The sweetheart tradition," another said. And Alice said, "Oh no." Mom's eyes were wide with horror. She stared at me, noting that I wasn't in the tuxedo, noting that I was leaving, noting that out of everyone who was enjoying themselves, I wasn't one of them. Clarence stood next to Mom, his eyes wide with horror as well, but he wasn't looking at me. He was looking at Glaive. Glaive was standing off to the side of the room, rolled his eyes, and he said, "You've got to be freaking kidding me." He didn't use the word freaking. Suddenly, all the girls giggled. Not sure what to do with the stupid bouquet, I tossed it back to Mom and walked through the crowd toward the exit. I didn't leave fast enough. The girls, giggling because they had too much to drink, surrounded me. One took the garment bag from me and laid it across a chair. I found myself being led to the dance floor. Another girl said, "It must be fate." Somebody yelled, "It's the sweetheart tradition." The girls were laughing as if this were a joke. So I asked, "What's the sweetheart tradition, and what's it have to do with me?" "You can't back out now," another girl said. Yet another girl yelled, "Don't you know anything? It's where the person who catches the bouquet dances with the best man." I stood a little taller and somehow muttered, "Dances?" "Or, if he's married, one of the groomsmen," somebody else said. "But Glaive is single," somebody else giggled. I took a step away from everybody and said, "You expect me to dance with Glaive?" "He is the best man," another girl said. "And they end their dance with a kiss to wish good luck to the bride and groom," the first girl yelled. And another girl said, "Can you think of anything else more romantic?" "This is weird," I said. I didn't even like Glaive, and now I had to dance with him and kiss him. Did he even like guys like that? How can I get out of this? Mom should throw the bouquet again, and one of you should catch it this time. "That will bring bad luck to the newlyweds," Alice said. "You don't want Mom to have bad luck, do you? Or your pillow. Just play along, and it will be over soon." "I don't think I can," I said. Alice whispered, "Just pretend you're enjoying yourself and get out there. It's for Mom, so suck it up. Have a little fun. Besides, you're gay, so dancing with a guy is no big deal." "What do I even say?" I asked. "Oh, God. Talk about the weather," Alice said. "Or you can be honest. Maybe you can explain to him just why you act the way you do, because I sure can't figure it out." Fate can be weird. Glaive stood in the middle of the dance floor, his face unreadable. I didn't like him. He didn't like me. A DJ played canned music, and as I walked to the center, to him, feeling the spotlight hit every single ugly zit on my forehead, and the metal in my mouth, and the weirdness of my street clothes, well, he wore a tuxedo, or the weirdness that this man had just become my stepbrother a few hours ago, my stomach twisted into a pretzel. This man was a model, an actor, had money, had everything. A slow dance started. The music was "Angel of Mine" by Monica. There was no way I could get out of this dance. No way I could avoid this man. I walked next to Glaive, shrugged, and placed my arms about his waist. He stiffly held my shoulders. We must look as awkward as a couple of middle school kids at their first dance. The crowd of girls screamed and giggled. "This wasn't my idea," I whispered. Glaive didn't say anything. Maybe he didn't hear me over the music, or maybe he didn't care. Maybe silence was the best defense. "I heard the weather is supposed to be cold and dry," I said. That got a slight smile that looked more like a grimace, and he said, "Welcome to southern Nevada in the middle of February." Something about our closeness made me really tense up. Him too. Maybe silence was the only way to deal with this. Halfway through the song, Glaive's whisper interrupted my thoughts, and he said, "You don't like me, and Dad. Why?" "You won't understand," I replied. "Try me," he said. I took a breath and tried to order the chaos inside me. My tongue fidgeted a little, feeling the metal on my teeth. And finally I said, "I already have a family. I already have a dad." "You're not making any sense," Glaive said. Words and feelings fought to be expressed. I tried again and said, "My mom and your dad keep forcing this whole family thing. My mom wants me to call your dad Dad, and your dad wants the same thing. They demand it, and I don't know either of you. Mom did this whole dating thing and fell in love, all while I was busy with college. I lived in the frat house. It's like nobody cares how weird this is for me. Glaive's arms tightened about me. Then there's you, I whispered. I guess I'm more emotional than I thought because everything gushed out of me. You're too perfect to be real. The new perfect son everybody loves. Look at me. I'm about as far from the ideal as could exist. I know it's petty and selfish, but it feels like my mom and your dad are replacing me with you, the son that I can never be. I can't untangle my brain enough to accept you or your dad. I don't even know you. We're so different. We are completely different, Glaive whispered back, but his hand lightly brushed my pink hair. Your turn, I said. Why don't you like me? That's not the right way to describe it, he said. I'm jealous. You're free, but I'm trapped. Surprised, I said. What do you mean? The song ended, and another began. We continued to hold each other. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a couple of girls heading directly for Glaive. Alice got in their way, and whatever she said, the girls moved on. Alice glanced back at me and Glaive and pursed her lips. When had she volunteered to become a linebacker and run interference? Glaive backed away just enough to look at me and said, When I got my first modeling job, Dad changed. He has expectations so high that it would give normal people nosebleeds. I have to look a certain way, act a certain way, keep a 3.5 average or better, never do things that could damage my modeling career or any potential acting gigs. He screens anybody I want to date so I can project the proper image. I can't have normal friends, and he made sure I went to private schools. I held his waist a little tighter and softly said, Your dad micromanaged your life? Every aspect, Glaive said. When I started to get modeling contracts, he made me quit wrestling because I might get hurt. Dad controlled what I earned until I turned 18, and he threw a fit when I got my own bank account and he couldn't access my money. Dad won't let anybody else be my manager, even though I've met some who would do a better job and have connections with talent agencies. Your dad's controlling you? I asked. In a big way, Glaive said. I'm 23, and he treats me like I'm 5. Even made me see a dermatologist and an esthetician for the proper way to take care of my skin, and shave, and everything. I have to keep a certain look so I'm hireable. I'm jealous of you, a free-thinking, creative guy who won't let anyone control him. If I could trade places with you right now, I would. Does this mean we're jealous of each other? I asked. Had I started to flirt with this guy? Had I started to relax? Glaive kind of grunted, and he said, Don't take this the wrong way, but you're the dangerous bad boy Dad would have a heart attack if I ever hung out with. Must be the pink hair, I said, then added, I like being the bad boy. Can I tell you something? Glaive asked. Anything, I said. I'm not going to be a model forever, he said. I want to design my own line of cosmetics exclusively for men. I'm thinking of calling it Organic Botanicals for Men, and that means I'll need to become a cosmetic chemist with at least a bachelor's degree in biochemical science. Does your dad know? I asked. He thinks it's stupid, Glaive said. He agrees with earning the money, but he doesn't agree with my goal. Over the years, I've tried hundreds of products. I know what works, and I believe I can help other men solve their issues like skin flaking, dandruff, acne, psoriasis. I know I can. I just need the chance. We held each other, slow dancing. And Glaive held me close and timidly said, If you'd, like some help with your acne, I have a few ideas. He must think he had crossed the line because he blushed and looked away. I'll trade you, I said. I can upgrade your computer, get you a better processor, extended memory, nicer sound system, extended wireless range. My voice trailed off, drowned in the music. I looked into Glaive's eyes, unable to describe the emotion flooding my body. My annoyance, my dislike, my hatred, my anger at this man had only been a lie, covering what I had really felt. What did I feel? An intense longing for this man, an intense feeling that I could finally admit to. Desire, maybe? Need? I wanted to like him, to be him, to have him stand by me, to stand by him, to feel his body pressed to mine, to feel his lips on mine, to date him. I wanted Glaive to like me, not because of our parents' expectations, but because he would generally feel that way. "What is it?" Glaive asked. I couldn't explain it myself, let alone to another person. Fear, terror, passion, love. What was going on inside me? Something about this man completed me. Something about him excited me. Something about him made me feel alive. What I felt was impossible. We'd only met a few times. What was I feeling or thinking? I wasn't thinking. I looked deep into his eyes, slowly leaned in, and pressed my lips to his. His lips were warm and didn't respond. His eyebrows shot up. I had just made the biggest mistake of my life. Then his lips opened a little, relaxed a little, moved against mine. Gentle, delicate, hungry, filled with desperation and longing, and it seemed like our souls connected. He tangled his hand in my hair and pulled me to him, tight. Our kiss became a living thing, moving, sharing, taking on its own life. A shriek bellowed louder than the music. "Ridley, Glint, I told you not to ruin my wedding." Mom was yelling? At me? Jumping away, Glaive abruptly inhaled, held my shoulders, stared at me, his eyes filled with confusion. "How dare you kiss your brother?" Mom screamed. The look in Glaive's eyes, shock, like dynamite had just destroyed something important. A realization, a horror. His eyes opened a little wider. His mouth seemed about to say something. He inhaled again, and stepped back, again. "Glaive is not my brother," I shouted at Mom. My gut churned, the look on Glaive's face, like I'd stabbed him. What had I done? What had I said? Something warm bubbled in my right eye, and it left a long trail down my cheek. My feelings crystallized. Was I in love with him? Had I been this entire time? Oh no, I had just humiliated Glaive. I had just humiliated myself. I had just humiliated my mom at her wedding reception. Our kiss had been observed. The girls stopped giggling. Everybody in the crowd was staring at us. Mom had this weird, angry look on her face. My stepdad folded his arms, his face stern. My sister had this look of shocked surprise, like watching a favorite character get slaughtered in a horror movie. "Mom, I've never considered Glaive my brother," I said. With the speed of a whip, Mom slapped me, hard. My head whipped back. I stepped back to keep my balance. Did Mom have a right to slap me? I had kissed my stepbrother at my mom's wedding reception, in front of family and friends, in front of his family and friends, in front of everybody I knew. My stomach dropped. I had kissed Glaive. I had single-handedly ruined Mom's special day. I had single-handedly ruined my family. In one terrible second, I had ruined my life. Mom's hand whipped out again. The second slap stung worse than the first, and she yelled, "If Glaive is not your brother, then you are not my son." The bile rose in my stomach. I was going to be sick. What had I done? Humiliation burned through my soul. Guess I'm an orphan," I muttered. Before I knew what I was doing, before anyone realized what I was doing, without making any stupid sound, I bolted out of that stupid reception hall, leaving the stupid tux and its stupid bag lying on some stupid chair. What am I going to do? I didn't drive here. William, my roommate, Ubered me here. I called William. Can you come get me? I'm on a run right now, he said. Tell me where you'll be, and I'll get to you as soon as I can. Gordon's Gourmet Burgers isn't far from here, I said. It'll be 45, William said. Like I always do when I'm stressed, I went to Gordon's Gourmet Burgers and pigged out on the most unhealthy food known to mankind. An extra large jalapeno cheese fries. I ordered 3, and lots of ketchup. Mom called. I picked up. She screamed at me. I hung up. Clarence called. It was Mom again, screaming. I hung up. Alice called. Probably Mom again, so I ignored it. Then Mom texted. Can you scream in a text? Sure read like it. I blocked her. Clarence texted, but it read like Mom, screaming. I blocked him. I couldn't deal with life right now, so I turned the volume off, turned my phone over so I didn't have to see anything, made a bigger pile of ketchup, and drowned another fry in the gooey red sauce before eating it whole. I had kissed my stepbrother. I didn't even consider him a brother, and he was little more than a stranger. I had humiliated him. I had humiliated myself. No matter what Mom had said, I should never have gone to the wedding. I should never have played their sweetheart tradition, and I should have never danced with Glaive, and I should never have kissed him or fallen for him. Face it, why would a guy like him ever like a pink-haired, zit-faced, metal-mouthed, ugly guy like me? I drowned another fry in the ketchup, and another, and another, and another, and another. When those orders were done, I ordered 3 more, and ate, relishing the burn, and the grease, and the stretchy cheese, and I didn't care if I broke out with 100 more zits by morning, and had skin so oily they could put oil rigs on me, and gained 10 pounds just from all the cheese, and fat, and carbs, and salt. After downing at least 500 more grams of carbs, and thousands of calories of fat, and cheese, and enough salt to give a rhino a heart attack, I came up with a plan. I wouldn't go back to Mom's and Clarence's place for a long time. Maybe if I gave them time, they'd forget. I'd ignore all their messages, and I doubt any of them remember where the frat house was. Glaive and my family would never have to deal with me again. William finally came, and as we drove back to the frat house, he asked, "You okay?" "No," I said. "How do you deal with life?" "Everybody is a little different," William said. "I drive, Howard hits things, Dane makes smoothies, Hutch hits the weights, Jason dances, and Chaz sleeps with somebody. Grin's a little weird, but he gives good advice. He got Jason through that mess back at Halloween. Ask him what you should do." I stared out the window, and the buildings zipped past. "I'll be back about 11, William said, "if you need to talk." A bunch of guys, Albrecht, Finn, Anders, Solomon, and DJ, were playing Xbox on the big screen, while Ben made himself a sandwich in the kitchen. We all said, "Hi," and I asked, "Anyone seen Grin?" Grin was in the big room, sitting at a table by himself, practicing card tricks. Grin is a magician, a card reader, a poetry major, and the weird guy in the frat that everybody likes. "Bad night, Ridley?" he said. I nodded. "Danced with my future stepbrother, Mom slapped me, and I'm kicked out of the family." "Sounds like an average night around here." Grin grinned, pulled out a large deck of tarot cards, and said, "Choose a card." I pulled 1 card. 3 came out, the Knight of Cups, Truth, and the Wheel of Fortune. Grin glanced at them and then said, "You, my friend, are trapped by the truth, but it is by truth you will be freed." "You don't make any sense," I said. You'll understand soon enough, Grin said, grinning. Tortilla chips are in the cupboard. Why would I want tortilla chips? I asked. Duh, Grin said, to go with the avocados. Why does talking to Grin always leave me more confused than before? I curled up on my bed, hugging my pillow, ignoring my phone, while the dread slowly grew inside me. Glaive was my new stepbrother, even though I didn't see him as a brother, and I had kissed him. My phone rang. My brother-in-law's number. Was it Mom? The panic filled my chest. I answered. I already know I goofed up and humiliated everybody and destroyed your wedding, I said. Oh, Lord, it's worse than I thought. Ridley, don't hang up, my sister said. Listen to what I have to say, but one question first. Is your brain spinning around so fast you don't know your right hand from your left foot, and you went to Gordon's to eat a ton of French fries? Maybe, I said. God, she said, this is so much like high school. Yeah, I said. You and Glaive didn't do anything wrong, she said. I thought you two dancing was cute. My husband and daughters thought it was cute. Everybody in the reception hall thought it was cute. Finally, you two had a chance to talk without Mom and Stepdad getting in the way. Even Clarence said something like maybe he'd misjudged you. I don't know what Mom told him, but I set him straight. Sorry, I didn't mean the pun. Don't worry about it, I said. Good, she said, and you shouldn't either. You are strangers, and not related by blood. So who cares if you kiss him? You need some real food. A guy from Dinner Run will be arriving with some food from Peking Budget Gourmet. Mom and Clarence are leaving for their honeymoon, so none of us will have to see them for a week. This is your big sister ordering you to eat some real food, get a good night's sleep, and let me handle Mom. Okay? Okay, I said, and hung up. I checked my phone. It was only 10. It felt so much later. Unable to sleep, unable to think, unable to do anything. I stripped, wrapped a towel about me, and was about to head to the shower when somebody knocked on my door. For a second, I thought about ignoring it. Then again, maybe it was Grin with more advice. Avocados? Seriously? That's not good advice. A second knock sounded, and some guy yelled, I'm with Dinner Run with the Chinese takeout for Ridley Glint. Some guy named Albrecht let me in. How much do I owe? I asked. According to the receipt, he said, it was ordered and paid for 17 minutes ago. You ordered shrimp fried rice, mushu pork, Szechuan beef with extra broccoli, tempura steak and noodles, and a Buddha vegetable supreme. It came with 2 fortune cookies, a ton of napkins, and half a dozen soy sauce packets, and a couple that say oyster sauce. That's enough food for 2 people, I said. Sounds like it, he added. I'm on the clock. Why don't you open the door, sign the receipt, and I'll give you your food. Just a second, I said, fumbling for the 5 in my wallet. Whatever mess my life was in, I could still tip the delivery driver. Making sure the towel was tight, I opened the door. The delivery driver carried 2 large bags filled with Chinese takeout boxes, but it wasn't just any delivery driver. He also carried a large duffel and a surprised smirk when he saw that I was only wearing a towel. Glaive was the delivery driver. Can I come in? He asked. What are you doing here? I asked, opening the door. Thank Alice for that, Glaive said. She said something about how her kid brother always needs help in the romance department. I nodded, making sure the towel was tight. Glaive set the food containers on William's empty desk and his duffel on William's empty bed, then said, Tonight was weird. I'm here to make it weirder. What do you mean? I asked. After unzipping the duffel, Glaive placed a couple of skincare products like toner, eye cream, and a gentle cleanser on the desk, and said, To be clear, I don't consider you a brother either, and you've already said the same thing about me. Besides, it doesn't matter. We're not related by blood. We don't even know each other. Today, everything got screwed up. Tonight, let's start over and get this done right. Dinner is Chinese, and after that, I'm giving you a facial, and we're talking skincare. If anyone knows anything about products and emergency zit breakouts, it's me. I brought all my stuff. All you have to do is lay back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Since you're already wearing a towel, I feel overdressed. Got another one?" I closed the door and smiled. I had another towel in the closet. I grabbed it and tossed it to Glaive. Glaive pulled his phone out, put it on silent, and said, "This way we can talk all night without being interrupted. But there is a test. Pay attention. Everything I do to you, you do to me. Understand?" "Kinky," I said. "Maybe later," Glaive said, pulling a couple of avocados from his bag. "We can attempt that kiss again. Something tells me that it will be more magical the second time." Epilogue. It took a couple of years, but Glaive graduated with a degree in biochemical science. But even before he graduated, he had formed Organic Botanicals for Men in our second bedroom. And in his spare time, he starred as eye candy in a couple of movies. The money he earned went into the startup for his company. Where was pink-haired, zit-free, perfect-skinned me during all this time? Happily, by my husband's side. And yes, avocados are our favorite fruit. The end. I'm Gio, and thank you for visiting my channel. If you'd like to hear more stories about gay men falling in love, stop by my channel. I have a couple more there. I wish you lots of hugs, lots of love, and lots of peace. See you next Wednesday.